All right, back again. Well, last week we all know Anthony Joshua was in the United States. He was there for the card that Eddie Hearn had in New York with Canelo Alvarez, Rocky Fielding. Did a lot of interviews on American television. He was on First Take with Max Kellerman and Stephen A. Smith. Max Kellerman, who's been saying a lot of crazy things lately. No disrespect to Max, but um, he's been just saying a lot of over the top weird things in the sport of boxing, making these claims about things that aren't really true. He said that, oh well, you beat Vladimir Klitschko in much more impressive fashion. You beat him more clearly and more thoroughly than Tyson Fury did. But Tyson Fury, when he fought Vladimir Klitschko, you can argue that it wasn't the most entertaining fight in the world. I mean, I enjoyed it because I thought it was a masterclass performance from Fury. But I mean, you were hard pressed to give Klitschko 3 rounds at best, when he fought, when Tyson Fury fought Vladimir Klitschko. But Anthony Joshua, before he stopped Vladimir Klitschko, he was down on the cards, on a lot of people's scorecards. And, most people thought he was behind in the fight. And, one of the judges did. I think the other judge had him slightly ahead, and the other judge had him ahead. But most people thought he was clearly behind that fight, and he was hurt in that fight, and he was on the verge of losing that fight. Credit to him for pulling it out. But Max Kellerman made that claim, oh, well, Tyson Fury had a close decision victory over Vladimir Klitschko when you beat him soundly and clearly and thoroughly. So that was one of the misstatements that Max Kellerman made, in talking to Anthony Joshua in First Take. But they also made another statement saying he was the biggest star in the sport of boxing. And granted, he is a big star, but he is not the biggest star in the sport of boxing. That still is Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez, with the exception of Floyd Mayweather, is by far and away the biggest star in the sport of boxing, with the exception of Floyd Mayweather, as I said earlier, because we all know what Floyd has done and the amount of revenue that he had generated in his fights. But if you look at the top highest grossing fights of all time, Canelo Alvarez was involved in 3 of them. The fight with Floyd Mayweather, obviously, that grossed almost $200 million. Had a $20 million live gate. Okay. Then his 2 fights with Gennady Golovkin, they were also part of the highest grossing fights in the history of the sport. I mean, the live gate for the first one was 27 million, which was the 3rd highest gate of all time. And the 4th highest gate of all time was the rematch at 24 million. So the fights with Golovkin, they grossed like 127 million the first fight and 123, 124 the second fight. The highest grossing fight that Anthony Joshua has ever been involved with was with Vladimir Klitschko, and that did 53 million. And, granted, he sells out those stadiums, 90,000 seat arenas, whatever, but they're only grossing $10 million. Whereas Canelo Alvarez, his fights at in Vegas, they're grossing 25, $27 million, and there's only 17,000 people there. So obviously, do the math. We've gone over this several times, and the UK fans just don't get it. And also this whole situation with the Zone. When I first downloaded the Zone back in October, I talked to Eric, my co-host on the Ringside Reporter podcast, and I said that when I went on there, I looked at the downloads. There was only 1 million downloads. So this Saturday, I looked at it, and that was December 15th. Okay, exactly 2 months later, and there's 5 million downloads now. So as soon as the Zone signed Canelo Alvarez, the 2 months, after, they had a 4 million jump in subscribers, 4 million jump in downloads on the app. And we all know that it was the most downloaded app, even ahead of YouTube, this past weekend. And when you look at all of the Zone commercials right now, they all have Canelo Alvarez in them. They're using Canelo Alvarez as the focal point to selling this app, not Anthony Joshua. So, Canelo Alvarez is clearly still boxing's biggest star, and Anthony Joshua is a distant second. Now, if Anthony Joshua turns around and fights Deontay Wilder, then, that year he fights Deontay Wilder, you could argue that he could probably generate possibly more money than Canelo Alvarez, but that's a stretch. That's a stretch even at that, because Canelo Alvarez is making $33 million a fight, guaranteed. So if he fights twice in a year, I mean, he's making $66–67 million in a year. And if Anthony Joshua fights any opponent outside of Deontay Wilder or Tyson Fury, he's not making more than Canelo Alvarez is. There's no question. So Anthony Joshua would have to fight Deontay Wilder, and you have to fight possibly Tyson Fury in the same year to be able to make more than Canelo Alvarez, possibly. And even that's a stretch, because again, when you look at the revenue, when you look at the amount of money that fights generate in the UK compared to the US, it's not even close. $53 million is the largest grossing fight that Anthony Joshua's ever been a part of. $53 million. Canelo Alvarez was in a $200 million fight. He was in a $127 million fight and a $124 million fight. So he's substantially the biggest star. And the zone is not using Anthony Joshua as their main selling point for this app. They're using Canelo Alvarez. If you go on Google Play right now, it's a picture of Canelo Alvarez as an advertisement for the app, not Anthony Joshua. So, people are going to still argue this back and forth. They're going to talk about the 90,000 seat arenas. They're going to talk about the pay-per-view buys. But again, Canelo Alvarez was doing a million pay-per-view buys with Gennady Golovkin, 1.2, 1.1. Did 2.2 million pay-per-view buys with Floyd Mayweather. Anthony Joshua, I think his highest is 1.4, and that's a great number compared. When you do a comparison, when you look at the population, in Great Britain, that's huge, considering that the country only has a 66 million population as compared to the 360 million people in the United States. But we already went over this. I mean, boxing is like the #1 sport in the UK. Boxing's not even close to being the #1 sport in America. But for many years, Floyd Mayweather, despite that, has still been the highest earning athlete in the world. And Canelo Alvarez was ahead of Anthony Joshua in the year of 2017. We'll see what happens this year. I mean, Anthony Joshua did fight twice this year, and Canelo Alvarez did not fight twice. So fought once and made a bare minimum of 33 million. So this year, Anthony Joshua, because he fought twice, may edge ahead of Canelo Alvarez. We'll see. But even that's questionable, based on we don't know what he made for Povetkin. So we'll see. We'll see. But at the end of the day, I think that clearly Canelo Alvarez has proven that he's still, the star in this, the #1 star in the sport of boxing, and Anthony Joshua is #2, no matter how you want to slice it up. We all know Canelo Alvarez has the highest guaranteed deal in sports history. That's already been documented. Anthony Joshua does not. So, and we don't even know what Canelo Alvarez, what other incentives are in that deal. I believe if he can generate a certain amount of subscribers for the zone, I guess he gets a percentage based off of that as well. So there are some perks to this deal, but at the very least, he's getting $33 million a fight guaranteed. And Floyd Mayweather's deal with Showtime, when he had that 6-fight deal, I believe he was getting 30, 31. So in terms of guaranteed money, Canelo Alvarez holds the record for that, as we all know. Anthony Joshua's not even close. All right, guys. Until next time, Beaver's out. Talk to y'all soon. Peace. Have a great day, and talk to you soon.